Today we're going to talk about fender storage. It seems like it should be so easy. Get the fenders out of the way, clear the gangway, but no, it's not so simple. So I'm going to share the 3 mistakes I made and the 4 steps for you to do it right first time, every time. So in the comments, let us know your easy projects that went off the rails and the tips for others on how they could fix them. We're going to talk about what happened with our fenders. So the first step in any fender storage placement is going to be location. You want a location that doesn't block access and doesn't block visibility. On our boat, which is a Jeanneau Merry Fisher or NC 1095, it's 34.5 feet, about 10.5 meters. There's not actually a lot of options for location. So on this stanchion, which is pretty far forward on the bow, is the place that we looked at placing it, because if you want one further back, you'd be blocking the gangway. On the port side, you'd have to be stepping over it because the gangway's a little narrow. So step 1, find a location that's not going to block visibility or access. We want to check the visibility from the helm so we can look over on the starboard. We see on the stanchion where that is and how it'll impact visibility, and then over on the port. So it is a place where we're able to still view around it, but not block our movement down either side of the boat. At this point, it should have been blissfully easy. I've got the location, you'll be able to walk by, no problem. So sitting at my couch at home after having a glass of wine, I ordered what I thought was the perfect fender holder without doing one minor thing: measuring to see if it would fit in the space. Sure, on the starboard side, but the port side is much narrower. Measuring to see if it would fit on the railing, and also measuring my own fenders. So step 1, remember to measure your stuff. But when I received my first set of the fender holders, I realized I'd made some big mistakes. My impulse order was a pair of tailor-made 2 fender racks that were for 9 to 11 inches, or 28 centimeters for fenders that size. I positioned them naively believing that in 7 minutes I'd be done with a crisp, tidy fender storage for the boat. That was not the case. The large tailor-made fender rack revealed the first 2 mistakes. First, I didn't measure the fenders. Our fenders are 8 to 9 inches, so 20 to 23 centimeters. They would fit loosely in the large fender rack that I'd ordered without measuring. That fender rack would fit perfectly fine on the starboard side, but there's error number 2. There's an offset cabin on the Jeanneau Merry Fisher NC 1095, so it's much narrower on the port side. So we had plenty of space for the fender holder on the starboard. Down to the superstructure, to the stanchion, it's only 10.5 inches or around 24 centimeters. So the fender rack holder was too wide to even fit on this side of the railing. After realizing I'd made an error in my ordering, I thought, no problem, I'll just go return it. There's a West Marine not far away, that's where I ordered it from. I went in, when I was there, I saw 2 West Marine 7 to 9 inch, 20 to 23 centimeter fender holders. I thought, these are perfect. I grabbed them and brought them back to the boat, thought 5 more minutes, I'll be done. But I was wrong. Mistake number 3. So these fender holders, unlike the TaylorMade, are right on the stanchion, going vertically. They're held in place with a nice U-bolt. Unfortunately, I didn't measure the diameter of my railing. It's a metric. It's 3 centimeter railing. This is a 7/8 inch or a 2.25 centimeter U-bolt, meaning it doesn't fit around to hold the fender holder in place. I also realized there was a difference in design between several of the fender holders. This kind that mounts on the stanchion, you can see that it's parallel to the stanchion, but angled to your top railing. So everything's at an angle and it's held in place again with a U-bolt. It is possible to get a U-bolt that could fit in this or find another option for fastening it, but I decided I was going to try for a different model, simply because I liked how the TaylorMade was parallel and angled compared to the top rail. I thought there was better feng shui in how it looked. So let's review the 3 mistakes I made on this project. First, I failed to measure my own fenders to know exactly what I was getting them into. I ordered off the boat instead of on the boat with the equipment in front of me. Second, I failed to measure the offset on the port and starboard side. Starboard, there's plenty of space, but because of our offset cabin, the port walkway is much narrower and wouldn't have space for the larger fender holder. And third, and probably the most limiting factor in a lot of ways, is not measuring the railings. The railings are 3 centimeters, which in the U.S., the most standard railings are 7/8 to 1 inch. So that limits the options that were available. After looking online and looking at what was available to me nearby, I decided to go with the Taylor 2 Fender 7 to 9 inch or 20 to 23 centimeter fender holder. And the reason was that they have J-hooks that can fit over the railing and bend slightly to be able to fit bolts through, as opposed to trying to find a 3 centimeter option. Anyone out there, post in the comments if you found good 3 centimeter options in the United States to be able to fit them. This is clearly a US versus non-US issue in terms of what's standard and available to get at marine stores for supplies. But I'm going to show you how we installed the Taylor 2 fender for a 1 inch railing on our 3 centimeter railing. So 3 centimeters is again 1.18 inches. This is a one tool job once we go with our modifications of the stainless steel D-ring. It's 1/8 or 0.3 centimeters diameter. It's about 1 inch long, so roughly 2 1/4, 2.5 centimeters. The 1.5 inch bolt, eye bolt, the regular nut, a locking nut, and a cap nut to be able to finish it off cleanly. We've installed the 3 D-rings with the eye bolts. First here, then here, and the third here. So the eye bolt's locked in place and we can feed it through, and we've locked the D-ring in place. So those are stainless steel. We're putting them in place so that we're able to install them around the railing. So we have fed the bolt through by moving out the J-hook, allowing this to come through in each spot, and we're adjusted so that we're parallel here to our railing, giving us that nice feng shui that I so desire. With the bolts in place, there is very little lateral movement on them. Just tighten the first bolt down, and with the locking bolt and the end cap on, it finishes cleanly. If we had a shorter, a 1/4 inch shorter eye bolt, I wouldn't need one of the initial bolts that we used here. We would have just gone with that, but because of the length of the bolts I was able to buy, we went with the cap nuts and the extra nut to hold it steady. Once we had the fender in place, we also made sure to tighten the screws that are on each side of the basket to make sure that they're secure enough to keep the angle in place. So we secured those, so I ended up using a screwdriver to finish installing on this side. Tip before installing the port side, where we have to do it over the water: I've installed the D-rings and the bolts. I have on the top ones them on the outside so they're easier to reach. So it's installed on the outside edge but on the inside of the J, and on the lower one it's on the inside edge and it's at the top, and that's just so that it's easy to reach when I'm installing it. Successfully installed on the port hand side and not dropped any bolts in the water, but now we'll just finish them off, tighten them up so that they're completely finished off. To be clear, you don't need to make modifications to have a fender holder on your boat. This was the fender holder that we felt would work, looked good on board, and was the easiest for us to find. If you know of any 3 centimeter railing fender holders easily accessible in the US, share them so other people can get a hold of them. Share them in the comments. This worked well though. It wasn't very long to install once I figured out what I needed to do. So again, the 3 mistakes that you want to avoid: you want to make sure you measure your fenders, you want to make sure that you measure the width of your fender holder, and you want to make sure that you actually measure the width of your railing. The biggest determining factor on what gear you can get on most boats is going to be the railing specifications. Again, 3 centimeters for a lot of these foreign built boats like a Jeanneau or Beneteau or Galleon, any of those Group Beneteau boats, along many others. So be aware of that when you're ordering. But this was a really important learning lesson for us. We're able to maintain the visibility from the helm with the fenders in place. We're able to maintain the ease of access up and down both sides of our Merry Fisher NC 1095. So overall, a success in installation. The 4 steps to successfully install fenders are pretty straightforward. You want to make sure that you know where you want to install them on your boat, taking into account the visibility and then the access way. So every boat's going to be a little bit different on that. So you want to make sure you can move freely as you want to move, and that it doesn't obstruct visibility when running the boat. So that's number 1. Number 2, you want to know what size fenders you have. So make sure you have your fenders measured so you have a sense of what size those are going to be. Number 3, you want to make sure you understand what size your railing is. So on our boat, it's the 3 centimeter is what threw us off. We're unable to order standard equipment, but made some modifications to do that. And number 4, you want to make sure you measure the place that you want to put your fenders on each side. So again, on the Jeanneau Merry Fisher NC 1095, there's an offset cabin, so the port side has a lot less space for fender and fender storage than on the starboard side. So make sure you're always measuring off of the port side. Thanks a lot. Let us know any thoughts in the comments, any recommendations you may have for other people to get those 3 centimeter fender holders on their boats. So till next time, have fun, be safe, be happy.